Hey guys, Benson here at Simpson Vlogs, and welcome to another video in my new place. So sit back, or a snack, or a drink, keep your feet up, most importantly, remember Her Majesty the Queen. Because when this video comes out, it will be the day of the funeral for the longest reigning monarch in British history. And the second longest reigning monarch in all of recorded history. So, yeah. Like, comment, subscribe down below. Hit that bell notification to keep up to date with everything here on Simpson Vlogs. Of course, there's Simpson Plays and simpsonplays.com in the description, alongside TikTok, Instagram, Rizzle, and Twitter. If you have not already watched through the whole funeral and all that, it should be noted that this is recorded in advance of the funeral. That day will be a bank holiday, and I more than likely will be busy either watching it or just doing other stuff while keeping Her Majesty in mind. And yeah, I want to take time to talk about the monarchy, both the good and the bad of it, and what has been left behind in the wake of Elizabeth's death. Regardless of what anyone says about the monarchy or thoughts and feelings on the monarchy, the fact of the matter is, an important lady to many people has died, and regardless of what the monarchy itself might stand for, and what she may have helped to propagate and remain that may should not have remained, she was a rock to many people, both family and otherwise. So just be respectful in that degree, and I'm going to try to be as well in this video. Also, as well as it being recorded in advance, any drama that may or may not have happened at the funeral, I don't know about, and therefore cannot cover it in this video. So yes, here on Simpson Vlogs, we're going to be talking about the monarchy then. So the British monarchy has, unfortunately, stood for a lot of negative things as well as positive things. Mainly the positives affect the people of this nation, and the negatives, unfortunately, affect a lot more people around the world. And when you think about the size of the British Empire at its height, it covered 1/3 of this planet's landmass. And you just put that in perspective. The state of Florida alone is larger than the entire United Kingdom. The fact that the United Kingdom once held not only the Florida state, but the whole eastern seaboard of the United States, as well as Canada and other various nations around the world at that time, is incredible. And at its height, even though it didn't include the United States at its height, it did hold Canada, South Africa, Australia, India, which has now over 1 billion souls in it, catching up to China real quick, and is probably the quickest developing nation on, well, the quickest developing major nation on the planet. And it's just incredible to think England held it. And I mean, it held from the Cape to the canal, from Alexandria all the way down to Cape Town. It held most of Africa. It held the Caribbean nations. It all held, most of them it held. There's still islands around the world it still holds, not namely just the Falkland Islands is one of the most famous ones, obviously, with the Falkland War with Argentina. So there's a lot of hurt that this nation, and by and large part the monarchy, is responsible for. And a lot of people are bringing it up, obviously, with what's happening, with the amount of coverage that this story is getting, with her death. There's going to be a lot of pain and questions brought up about the monarchy's existence and what it is responsible for. Now, I've heard a lot of arguments and a lot of things have been said, both to absolve the monarchy for blame of what the British government did, and both to remind that the British government and other governments, other colonial governments around the world, i.e., the South African government, with what it did, and the Australian government, what it has done in the past, were both, and including our own government in Britain, were all empowered technically by the city monarch, whether it be a king or a queen at the time. They still to this day, with all this trust, have to go to the queen to be officially recognized as prime minister. The title prime minister itself is derivative of the fact that you are the highest minister in the land, but you are not the highest power or the highest authority in the land. Now, obviously, with the way our modern government works, the prime minister kind of has more power than the sitting monarch at the time, but the symbolism and officially that is still the case, that the sitting monarch is the highest authority in the land. So when people try to absolve the monarchy completely and wholly, especially Elizabeth, of the crimes of earlier in her reign and the fact that apologies have never been given later in her reign, isn't right. As much as I am technically a monarchist is the word, and a lot of people would try and come at me for that because obviously the colour of my skin and my own heritage. But I always remind people, especially when they come from this country, is the fact that I live in England. I'm a Brit. Okay, so there is no honest to God reason why I should want the monarchy gone, because that's not good for this country. Okay, no matter what anyone else says around the world, the monarchy suddenly being absolved, or it wouldn't be sudden, I hope, but removing the monarchy from this country in a way that is saying, oh, they did bad things, so we just removed them, isn't good for this country for various reasons I'll go into in a bit, and two, doesn't atone for the crimes that were committed by the governments that were empowered by the monarchy. So either way, it's not the solution just to go, oh, this was a bad thing, let's get rid of it. It's not one of them quick solve, slap a band-aid on its solutions. It doesn't work. Okay, that's not what we should do. Yes, there should be apologies given to certain countries, especially, I would say, nations like India and the African and Caribbean nations, where their resources and precious items were robbed and are still gone from them, especially the African and Caribbean nations in terms of resources. India's resources are incredible, and whilst I'm not trying to diminish what was stolen from them and say, oh, they're fine, they've got so much stuff, it doesn't matter. Their main hurt is the precious items taken from them. The crown jewels encompass 2 of the largest diamonds ever. I think they are the 2 largest diamonds ever, and they are both from India. Some would say stolen. I would hesitate to say that, because at the time, you can't steal something that was yours, in my opinion. And at the time, India belonged to Britain. It's the truth of the matter. No matter how anyone wants to say it, it was conquered, it was colonized, it belonged to Britain. You can't deny that fact. You can't say that, oh, you robbed us and then and all this colonial stuff without recognizing the fact that you were under ownership. So I would more best say the word exploited. These nations were exploited. They were not robbed, because you can't rob something that was yours. They were exploited, heavily exploited, and that's just the resourceful atrocities committed, let alone the racial atrocities and seeds of division that were sown in these nations in order to keep them in check. And this nation, Britain, has a lot to answer for. And unfortunately, though, this country simply does not have the resources anymore, or the funds to, in my opinion, rightfully make up for what it has done. Anything we could offer them beyond an apology, beyond words and I don't know, some sort of treaties or some sort of trade pact, some sort of going forward stuff. Anything else, some sort of monetary values and stuff, is in my opinion, would be insulting to them, because we cannot, especially in the current state of the world, Britain cannot, without damaging itself, which notion, in my opinion, no nation should ever do, to make up for something that it had done in the past. You should not damage yourself, because you've got a people now to make that, your own people now to look after. Anything we could offer them now it would just be insulting, in my opinion. There's no way we could afford to apologize with monetary value to all these nations in a proper manner. It just couldn't make up for what England had done. Especially when you look at some of the atrocities committed on the people. Broken hand. Let's talk about what happened to the loomers in India, the people who sewed stuff. Let's talk about the Aborigines in the Australia and New Zealand. Talk about what happened with the apartheid? I can't remember the name. Can't pronounce it. What happened with the separation, the segregation in South Africa between the blacks and the whites, and what happened obviously in various other parts of the world, including here in England. So yes, and you could, with what's going on around the world, or with Trump, since Trump and all that, with racism coming back to the forefront of society, unfortunately, there's still clearly a large wound that is mainly the brunt cause of by European nations, and of course, you have to talk about the largest colonizer there is, which is obviously Britain. Not the worst or the first, but the largest. And yeah, there's a lot the monarchy has to answer for. But those are the negatives. The positives that I'm going to go over are the fact of they represent, obviously with the bad, they represent everything good with Britain as well. They represent our quote unquote stiff upper lip, our sense of decorum and British dignity, our heavy sense of resolve. Piers Morgan, I keep seeing it on TikTok, he put it into words, they represent everything from crushing the Nazis to the triumphs at Trafalgar Square and at Waterloo. They represent the victories and the struggle through the hardships of the recessions. They represent so much to this nation and to various people around the world, still from nations that were colonized by people who were hurt and have every right to be furious with both Britain and the monarchy. There are still people amongst those groups that do like the monarchy. There are still people who do like it, and that's because of the fairy tale they've created. Yes, I'm aware, but that's what they mean. Whether it has been fabricated or not, that's what they represent, and they also represent our entire constitution. They are as important to us as the French Revolution is to France, as the Constitution and independence is to the United States. And despite the division they've sown around the world, removing them would be a cultural identity crisis for this nation. Because it wouldn't be like what happened in France with a revolution, a war happened and basically a civil war happened and the monarchy was removed by force. It wouldn't be like what happened in Germany with World War One, where the monarchy, they lost the war and they were forced to abdicate, and the monarchy was dissolved from there henceforth. It wouldn't be like that. It would be a parliamentary vote public opinion would force a parliamentary vote, like what happened with Brexit. And what would happen again, like what would happen with Brexit, would be a huge identity crisis, where you would have half the nation being happy and half the nation being furious. All the while, you're talking about changing so much with our integral running of state. It's insane. I mean, like I said in the previous video last week when I was talking about just the fact that everything changes now that the Queen is dead, is the fact that it wouldn't be His Majesty's Royal anything anymore. There would be no Royal Guard. There would be no, all the armed forces names would change. Our police would change. I mean, everything official in this country comes with HMS on it. His or Her Majesty's Service. That's what it is. It's something that belongs to the royal family. It would all be removed. Now, it's not just a name change. Everything, printing, everything would change. It would be a massive cultural shock. Honestly, people underestimate just how difficult it is to go from being a constitutional monarchy to a full-fledged republic. And this nation would not cope very simply with that. It would be bad. It would be bad. And we're talking the same level of division that currently lies with the United States, with the fact that, between the Republicans and Democrats, the hostility over there between certain people on both sides and either side of the argument between Republican and Democratic laws and ideas is really insane. People get killed over there because of their intolerance to someone having a different opinion to them. And personally, I believe removing the monarchy in such a abrupt manner and vote, followed by a parliamentary vote, would cause the same sort of pain if done in the same way we did Brexit. And even if it wasn't done in the same way we did Brexit, I can just imagine the fact that if we said it had to be 80% to go through, and it was 51 in favour of removing the monarchy and 49 in keeping it, and obviously then that would, obviously by the stipulation of 80%, wouldn't happen. It would just cause uproar, and it would never go away, and it would tear this nation and the union apart. And a lot of nations around the world are probably going to remove Britain as head of state. I mean, Australia and New Zealand still have Britain as head of state. I think Canada does as well, along with 13 other nations or 12 other nations as well. Now, I don't know if the Union could survive removing the monarchy as well. You're talking that would then split England, Scotland, and Northern Ireland, which would probably see Northern Ireland go back with Ireland, which, hey, that's up to them. Northern Ireland chose to stay with Britain at the time that Ireland separated. So if they wish to go back, that's with them. But I've always been a unionist. I always would prefer the fact that if Ireland were to come back into the union, it'd be great as well. Everyone, it would be great to have all the Isles all be, one people, because historically kind of were, and only separated by ancient invasions and tribalism and stuff. But hey, that's a different one. The monarchy basically is extraordinarily important to many people, and in my opinion, removing it doesn't solve problems of the past. It only covers them up. It's the same with hiding statues or not talking about certain things. If you do not talk about things, you are basically saying it didn't happen. If we were to remove the monarchy today and be that's done with it, we are basically saying that since we've removed these people, all the crimes that the government that were previously sponsored by this monarchy, including Britain, are now absolved of their crimes. And that is not the case. When it was mainly individuals towards a lot of parts of of the empire, and during the heights of the empire, it was mainly individuals who had been empowered by the monarchy, yes, that committed these atrocities, and all of them should be held accountable. And removing the monarchy absolves these people and governments of their actions, and that shouldn't be the case. Now I know this was a somber one with the funeral, but it's important to talk about it because with King Charles III coming to power, coming to being king, he's going to make a lot of changes, and I hope they're all positive. I believe that despite some questionable stuff he's done in the past with his character, you know, the whole Diana and trilogy, I've seen some things and heard some things that are positive. The fact that he wants to cut active service members of the monarchy just to help with public tax and public relations. Other stuff such as his campaigns for human rights and what he said about the Palestinians, what he said about Islamophobia, what he said about climate change. They're all positives, and I hope going forward he can correct some of the mistakes of his predecessor as well. The Meghan Markle thing, I hope to God somehow they can fix that, because again, I said in the past, they missed a step with that one. They missed a step. They missed the token black person step, and that would be big for the English monarchy. That's big, and they missed it. But hey, we'll see, won't we? But it's important to remember that today is a somber day, no matter what you feel about the monarchy. Monday the 19th will always go down in history as the day England put to rest its longest serving monarch in history, and the grandma or grandmother of a nation, Queen Elizabeth II. May you rest in peace, and long live the king, and hopefully long reign the monarchy. Despite everything and negatives, I hope there can be a lot of positives to gather from keeping the monarchy, because the cultural shock, like I've just covered in this video, would be immense. Well, that's the end of this one. It was a somber one, a serious one. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Whether you agree or disagree, comment down below. But just, I know it's a heavy subject. It's a fiery one. I do know that, and there's a lot of stuff that I probably may or may not understand or may not know. Comment down below. Just, yeah, don't get mad. Basically, you might get mad. Don't comment mad. Makes sense. Comment across your points in a cohesive argument or sentence, better. And if you want to have a discussion, have a discussion. I'm always open to discussions. I just don't make it a fight. Well, that's the end of this video. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe down below. Hit the bell notification to get everything here on Simpson Vlogs. And of course, check out links in the description. There is TikTok, Instagram, Rizzle, and Twitter, alongside Simpson Plays and SimpsonPlays.com, alongside my Twitch, where you can catch me live streaming stuff like Elden Ring and hopefully in the future, Call of Duty. Till next time, guys, I'm gonna love you and leave you. May the Queen rest in peace. May you guys have a good day despite everything that's going on, and enjoy the bank holiday. Peace.